Dun, dun. It happened. It actually happened.
We're 1 minute on time.
Shit.
Wow, welcome to the Guns for Everyone podcast.
The podcast.
The podcast. We'll just do this right at the top. Where can people find the great and powerful Edgar Antillon?
At my house usually. It's usually where I hang out. You can find me there. Or you can find me on the Instagrams, Facebook, and Twitter. Twitter, we don't do too much, but Guns for Everyone there. There's
And
also
the YouTubes,
and the YouTubes,
where you're probably watching this live. Probably.
Actually, all of the two people watching are on YouTube, and it's Letitia and Araceli. So
Okay.
GFEnational.com is also where you can find this.
GFEnational.com has all our classes coming up. By the way, if you have come to a class with us before, but you are realizing that you don't know shit about guns and you still want more training, classes are free. And you can find classes in the Springs, classes up in the Denver area. And you can also find our legal fund, gunsforeveryone.com/legal-fund. If you're going to donate there. That's the most useful place right now for donations. I hate to say stuff like this, but I mean, you have to. This is a donation-based operation. We had an email today from a gentleman who wanted our advice on how to handle his sheriff's department. And, he told us he loves us. Did you catch that?
He loves us.
Loves us. Those are his words.
Loves us.
I love you. And we're just like women. We need to be told that you love us with cash money. So you could say I love you all day, but until you come with that cash money, I don't know if I believe you. I hate saying that. I feel like a pastor at a mega church, but this operation wouldn't exist. We don't get any other funding from anybody else. So go to gunsforeveryone.com/legal-fund. You can throw in $5. You can throw in $5,000. Value is determined by you. You are the one who determines what is valuable to you and what we provide, what the value of what we provide is to you. To some people, $5 is a lot of money. And to some people, $5,000 ain't shit. And so we're working very hard to protect your rights, to keep all the sheriffs on the same page. I've got a video I got to show during this podcast that should demonstrate the difference between what GFE National does and what every other, maybe not every other gun organization, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
So
probably most of them.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that video, so now I'm intrigued.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, we should leave that to later.
Yeah,
I want to talk about a couple things that happened, and that's not the subject of this thing right here. That's not what we want to focus the podcast on. But I do have a couple things. One, I'm going to show you guys our gunsforeveryone.com website. I know for some of you guys it's confusing. Is it gfenational.com? Is it Guns for Everyone? Guns for Everyone is kind of like a main landing page. Kind of helps the algo a little bit, the algorithms a little bit. But we also wanted to separate just everyday bullshit and legal fund from GFE National, and it helps us organize. And one of the things that I did, because we do need money, is added some ads to it. So I want to have you guys also go in there and tell us, is it too much, not enough? Is it just fine? Because I don't want to overwhelm people with ads and then you don't read the content. On mobile, it looks different than on what you're about to see, but I still wanted to kind of show a couple things that I think we should cover. And I also want to see if the AI robot will clip these so we can use them in shorts. But 2 items. Very first one. This one right here. If you go to gunsforeveryone.com and then you search in the menu, 2A News and Info, 2A News and Info, and then you click this article right here. It's a spicy one. Now this is a bullshit place in New Jersey, but these are all Republicans, and this not all of them, but the majority of the Republicans voted down a gun permit rebate. So essentially, they would refund $150 of the $200 that it cost to get a gun permit in New Jersey. And they said, nah, we're not going to do that.
I don't care if you got a D or an R after your name. You get your greedy little greasy hands on that money, it's hard to give it back, especially when you didn't earn it.
So they said no rebates. And obviously our position is that's bullshit. This is why we don't align with a political party and all that stuff. So there's that one. And then the one that is probably gonna inflame some shit is Glock supporting gun control in Oklahoma. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this kind of circulating, or maybe not. But I think Mr. Guns and Gear or and Guns and Gadget had been talking about this, and I got the screenshots of the letters, and it's essentially Glock saying, "We absolutely love that you are getting rid of machine guns, and more specifically, their Glock switches." And I honestly think that their bigger point here is patent infringement, because it goes with like we support this, and it very quickly went into we send letters of cease and desist for patent infringement, and say what you will, but I think that's their play. One, limit liability, and two, patent infringement. I don't think their point is to support it, but the only way they can support it is this way.
Well, let's ask the question. Let's lay the groundwork for just a second. When Glocks were originally invented, there already existed the design for a full auto switch. Now, it wasn't what like the new Glock switches look like. It was an internal switch, right? It wasn't a new backplate. It was an internal switch to disable the disconnector.
Yeah, the original one.
But it was a very simple design to turn that into a machine pistol on purpose. I would bet to satisfy maybe some military contracts to say, hey, if we wanted to do a machine pistol for our Republican Guard, let's just say. So it was a relatively simple design to turn it into a full auto. And then along the way, somebody figured out that you could do that with just a piece of plastic that replaces the backplate, specifically designed piece of plastic. And now, thanks to 3D printing and China, because a lot of these switches are coming from China, these switches are everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're leveraging this relatively simple design to overcome the disconnector, to turn, Glocks into Gats, Yeezys, whatever. I don't know the lingo, skibbities. And this is a problem for Glock in a liability heavy place like the United States. And especially with some of the legislation and lawsuits that has targeted gun manufacturers for harm caused by their product. And there's plenty of precedents for harm caused by products. There's not a lot of precedents for harm caused by products that were designed to cause harm. And I don't mean harm as in like good or bad. I mean like this is a personal protection device. This is a device designed to hurt people. We would say in self-defense, but the legislators would say, doesn't matter. So it's a really kind of interesting position Glock finds himself in. And so it seems like they decide to take the position that they support any legislation to block the design and manufacture of these tools as a way to protect themselves.
Yeah. Have you read the letter?
No. No, you
So
sent it to me, but I was in the middle of a bunch of other stuff, so I skimmed it, but I didn't look closely at
he
it. So
never has a bunch of other stuff. He says it's a bunch of other stuff. It's an excuse. So this is what I'm hoping it's going to turn out to be. But at the end of the day, they're still supporting the garbage. So
right.
let's not forget that Glock is still,
Right. So, like, my question is
yeah,
here, like, what pro freedom move should they consider instead of supporting this legislation?
yeah, fucking legalize machine guns and accept the competition.
Yeah.
So here's the letter. This is to the Chairhouse of Public Safety Committee, Representative David Hardin, and I don't know if he's an R or a D. I'm assuming he's a D. It starts off by saying, "Dear Chairman Hardin, Glock Inc. applauds your leadership in matters of public safety affecting the citizens of Oklahoma. Glock writes to express strong support for state legislation consistent with federal laws that prohibit the manufacture, sale, distribution, possession, and/or use of any firearm part designed and intended for unlawfully converting semi-automatic firearms to fully automatic. These firearm parts, also referred to as machine gun conversion devices (MCDs) by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, are illegally manufactured and imported by individuals and entities not affiliated with Glock." So that's where it stops on their support, and it goes into Glock has nothing to do. There is no connection between MCDs and Glock. Glock does not support. So it quickly goes into we don't want any liability, any connection with these Glock switches. We don't want anything to do with this shit. It's the first part that's troublesome, right? It's we applaud you and your leadership in the matters of public safety affecting citizens of Oklahoma. That can mean all kinds of shit, and then rights to express strong support for state legislation consistent with federal laws. There's a bill that's coming up in Oklahoma. I don't know if they've turned it down or not, but that's how it starts. There's more. There's
Well,
two pages.
state laws consistent with federal legislation would infer support for machine gun laws.
Yeah, the
So that's supporting the National Firearms Act.
NFA. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Which everyone else in the gun industry seems to be opposed to, apparently, except Glock.
At the moment, yeah. Until we hear back from Glock. Yeah, you did cut out.
Okay.
Until we hear back from Glock, um, because I talked to them personally, obviously, because that's the way it goes. Isaac is frozen. I don't know if it's my poor people internet or if it's his
No,
poor
it's
people
my I think
internet.
it's my poor people internet. After
Yeah.
lots of conversations with Xfinity.
Oh, he is blocked again. Xfinity got mad at him. Is throttling the fuck out of him. You kind of back.
I'm back.
All
If
right.
it keeps happening, I'll try to switch over to my mobile connection. It might be stronger.
Yeah.
So this is bad. This is not good. There's
No.
no way to characterize this as positive.
No, I encourage you guys to go read the article that ChatGPT helped me write uh, on the Guns for Everyone page, and it's setting a really bad precedent for the way these companies are stepping away from that liability. And I get it, you want to not be liable for that shit, but there's other ways to do it. It's not that. Springfield felt the wrath when they supported gun legislation in Illinois a while back, and they're slowly recovering from that shit, but I don't think they fully came back. I mean, if you look at it, nobody really regards Springfield as a leader in the thing. I think Glock's name is so big that they can probably recover from this.
Mhm.
They basically are doing what's that food place that everybody's mad at?
Oh, Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. They
Yeah,
fucking they've done it.
they stepped in it. Cracker Barrel stepped in it. Glock stepped in it. So
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'm waiting for a call. I got the Ouija board out, and we'll see what Gaston has to say about the shit.
so What's the primary topic? What's the main topic? The documentary?
Yeah, we could talk about the document. I don't know if that's the primary topic, because I did want to talk about the Minnesota shooting.
Let's talk
Uh,
about that first since it's top of mind for everybody.
you want to talk about that first?
Yeah.
I was gonna have them hold off so they can watch till the end.
Oh. Oh, what?
Uh, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
balance. That's the balance of all this shit. Do you keep him until the end, or do you just fucking throw it out there
Yeah.
and have him
Do you let
have him
some
log
line
out?
out? Let them tire themselves out, or do you bring them onto the boat right away?
And if you don't watch it live, you can skip ahead anyways.
Yeah.
It don't fucking matter. It's up to you. It's
All
up to
right.
you.
Well, let's talk about the documentary since you've been working very hard on that for 6 years. You started
It,
before
it's
COVID.
it's been a while. I don't know if it's
Kind of like the PD-10, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's talk
Uh,
about your first documentary for just a minute, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know about the first film that you produced.
yeah, rhetoric, all talk, no action. That one's so long ago that I don't think we can even. It's still on Amazon. People can still find it on Amazon. I think it's on YouTube as well. Amazon still gives me like 12 cents every quarter or some shit like that from. So it means people are watching it to a certain degree. So,
It's
but
available on Amazon Prime.
it's available on Amazon. Yeah, if you've got Prime, you get it for free, I believe. If not, I think it's like $1 or some shit like that. But the first one was it was a documentary that I wanted to make based off of the concept is basically the lack of action that the politicians actually have and trying my best to focus on community organizations that are actually affecting change because we all know politicians. I mean, that's the whole title: rhetoric, all talk, no action. But there's a lot of organizations that are actually doing stuff within the community, and I wanted to highlight that. That one was focused on violence, what the academics would call community violence, but it's just gun violence in general, if you want to accept that as a term. um we don't generally accept that as a term, but that's what people talk about is gun violence.
So most of the harm, most of the non-self-inflicted harm with firearms happens in the community. Uh, Either interpersonal violence between people who know each other,
Yeah,
or uh, like what we'd call like high crime type violence, where you have gangs and people using firearms offensively to commit crimes.
correct.
And gun owners feel targeted because like that stuff happens, and law abiding gun owners are left like with the blame, and the politicians say, oh, we got to deal with this problem, and we deal with it by legislating against guns, and gun owners don't have really a lot to to say to help fix that problem. They just say it's not our problem.
Correct.
So they place the blame somewhere else, and whenever you do that, place the blame somewhere else, then you leave it to the politicians really to try to solve that problem for whatever their reasons are, whether they just want more power or if they maybe genuinely feel like they're trying to solve the problem by removing those guns from the hands of people who commit the crimes with them. But that includes removing guns from everybody's hands. So this documentary rhetoric was about finding ways to heal some of those problems in the inner city with organizations that are actually trying to do that thing.
Correct.
Organizations like Black Guns Matter and
There's one here in the state of Colorado. It's called Action Youth.
Action Youth. Who's
There
who's
was
heading that one up?
um oh man, I forgot his name right now.
Is it
uh
Leon?
no, it's not a popular dude.
Okay.
No, I forget. He actually started off as a student, and then that's how I met him. And he talked to me about his organization, and I had known about his organization for a while. And he works mostly with high school kids. Um, And then when he started, his kids were, I believe, were in middle school, and his daughter just recently came to one of my classes, and she's now helping out with. She graduated from high school, and she's now helping with that stuff. So so that's one of them, Action Youth, and then there was one in Chicago I went to go interview. A couple organizations out in Chicago that I went to go interview. So it was so long ago, I can't even remember their names. But if you guys you go watch the movie, it gives me 12 cents, and then it talks about. I hope I did a decent enough job for my first documentary. Right, this is just me. This is me going to places, finding the humans, and recording it and interviewing them and editing and all that shit. So um, the next one is about mental health. So kind of the same concept, but now mental health is the government through red flag laws and ERPOs and has decided that they're properly fit to tackle suicide, and they're not. They're actually pretty fucking horrible at it. In fact, in this context, the government is actually, and we see the numbers, we can easily see the numbers, is impeding humans from going. And when I say impeding, I don't, they're not actually setting any barriers, but it's the fear of humans who own guns not wanting to get help, because now the fear is that their guns are going to be taken away, and that's an extreme solution for a lot of humans. Like, I don't want part of my lifestyle to be taken away. This probably be true for anybody, right? If you're a chef and you go talk to a therapist, and now the therapist fucking calls the cops on you and says this person should be around knives because reasons. Well, that's something that's a part of you. That's something that you do every day. That's something that is, even if it's a hobby, like that's shit. That might be the thing that relieves the stress. So this documentary is talking about that, and again, highlighting humans and organizations that are actually affecting change.
So the most harm that comes from firearms in the United States comes from self-inflicted harm.
Yeah,
By far, 2/3 roughly of firearm deaths are suicides, and that, when people talk about, you're more likely to die from a gun in the United States, blah 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 blah. Like, that's a huge chunk of the number, is that you turn that gun on yourself.
yeah,
And uh, that's also probably one of the areas where we could, as a community, cause the most change by ourselves.
correct.
If we eliminate the stigma and provide a better understanding of the risks of firearms in the context of mental health, and the ways in which those risks can be controlled or mitigated through community support.
Correct.
So you started, like, at the end of Rhetoric, you had a long interview with Jennifer. I can't remember her last name. Um, she was a mental health expert talking about the impact of mental health in these communities, and, like, for lack of a better word, in the hood, lack of mental health, like generational trauma
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And at
You
the
mean
same time that
Jen Chase?
yeah, it's Jen Chase, isn't it? Yeah, that's funny. Uh, I forgot about that. How could I not remember that? Um, and at the same time that you were doing that and released that, Rob Pincus was ramping up his focus in partnership with Michael Sodini, who formerly used to run Eagle Imports,
Yeah,
of getting gun owners to pay attention to this problem. First and foremost, just pay attention to it, because for the longest time, we don't want to acknowledge it.
correct.
Um, the NRA did amazing work from the 1960s through the 2000s at reducing accidents with firearms,
Yeah,
right? Through firearm education and
yeah,
safety and all that stuff. And they should be applauded for the work that they did. And really,
correct,
it made being safe with a firearm cool, for lack of a better word, or
correct.
maybe more importantly, being unsafe with a firearm very uncool.
Yeah,
change the culture. I think the internet helped with that too. I think the internet had a big impact on that. Of people, you see people handling firearms, and then the internet calls out bad gun behavior and praises good behavior.
Correct.
So the community has
Well, it used to,
demonstrated
anyways.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, get maybe slowly sliding away from that, but I think personally, I think that demonstrates that the community has the capacity to address major problems
Correct.
and improve the outcomes with those with firearms. So I'm very optimistic that with enough effort and attention, that we really could make a significant impact on this huge problem of self harm with firearms.
Well, and the biggest issue that we're facing is we don't, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, is we don't want to mention it, we don't want to talk about it, and then we want to set blame somewhere else.
Hmm.
And everybody does this. And the issue with that is we don't want the government to have ERPOs. We don't want red flags. We agree. Red flags, ERPOs, garbage. They don't help anybody in the long run. And it might help one human at that very moment, and it might be real, and we can't discredit that. But in the long run, we've seen plenty of evidence where these laws actually hurt more than they actually help.
Yeah.
People just focus more on that one human. Look, it saved one human. Yeah, but it was detrimental for another handful. And so you've got that. You've got humans who don't want the government to do it, but then you also have, and we know this, we talk about this all the time. You have those same humans who are like, yeah, but we're just not going to do anything about it. And that's just a recipe for disaster. Part of how we end up in a world full of anti-gun laws is humans who bitch about the anti-gun laws, but then offer no solution to the or no replacement. And it doesn't have to be a policy replacement. It could be a community replacement, which I'm in favor for. I'm a big advocate for let's replace policy by community work, by community involvement, because that affects real change, not policy.
Well, it's the concept of the people who are closest to the problem being the best suited to solve the problem,
Correct.
rather than people who are literally the furthest from the problem trying to solve it.
Yeah. We see that now. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but we see this with every shooting. But it's happening with in Minneapolis again, where people who don't know shit about guns already talking about how to solve the issue with guns. It's like, well, you don't even understand the problem, so you're not even credible in finding the solution to this. So it's hopefully going to highlight. I've had to switch gears a little bit with this documentary, because this started pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, and then that shit changed all kinds of shit. I mean, the
Mhm.
suicide numbers changed, the way we approach suicide. Suicide actually went from being in the back burner to now being the trendy topic to talk about, which I'm hoping I can highlight in this documentary. The people that I interviewed pre-COVID probably have a different mindset, so I'm working on re-interviewing some of those people as well. So it was a long journey, and it has been a long journey, mostly because COVID hit. And once COVID hit, it kind of stopped everything. Like, it just, there was nowhere to go, nowhere to interview people that I want to interview. And I don't want to interview just echo chamber people. I don't want to interview humans who just agree with us and say stuff about us and say nice things about us. Like, I want to interview people who disagree with me, but are still working at it, are still trying to solve problems. And that got tough. That got tough because I don't know if you guys remember, but during COVID, and even now, there's a lot of that fighting, and it was a big divide. It was a big divide. So as soon as people who disagreed with me on guns heard that I was the founder of Guns for Everyone, it was an instant block. It was an instant like, oh well, you must also, because now they started assuming things about me that are may or may not be true.
Yeah, and I think disagreement is the territory where we're actually going to find solutions. Um, because we need help with this. The gun community needs help with this. The gun community doesn't like intuitively know how to deal with mental health issues. We're going to
Yeah.
need the mental health experts who traditionally probably more on the side of guns cause harm. You talked about in a video that you recently did about doctors asking about firearms, and the reason why doctors asking about firearms because they see so much bad stuff. They're getting the victims. That's where the victims are going. They're going to the medical professionals. And that's going to color the way they look at the problem. When I talk about mental health and guns, like I don't know very much about mental health.
Yeah.
Um, and I need some guidance. I need some learning, and so that means we're going to have to talk to people who don't agree. Um, but if the goal is to find those community solutions rather than the legislative ones, then even if I don't agree with somebody, we could probably take something useful from that conversation.
Yeah, and transfer it over to the people we do agree with on the gun stuff.
Right.
There's a human on the Facebook group Rally for Our Gun Rights or Rally for Our Rights. I always forget how one's done. Rally for Our Rights. And if you could jump on there, he's always talking about the Office of Gun Violence and the head here in the state of Colorado, and it's it's almost always right after I get off of a meeting with her, and I see these posts. It's like, yeah, but like I don't think you know what you're talking about, and that is often a problem. Is when I made that video of why do doctors ask about guns? It's relaying that message to these people that own guns and getting them to understand from a certain perspective that it's not everything's a fucking conspiracy. Like not everything is as sinister as you make it out to be. But there's humans on the internet, especially now, that everything's a fucking conspiracy. Everything, literally everything's a fucking conspiracy. Apples have cyanide in them. Well, fucking Donald
Yeah.
Trump put them there. Fucking, it must have been Biden.
Yeah.
Obama fucking put cyanide in that shit. So like, and everything's a fucking conspiracy, and until you start to ask the questions, and that's all it was. I was at this group. We were trying to help doctors ask this question better for teenagers, and that was my question to the doctors that I was with: is why the fuck are you guys involved? Why do you guys even ask this fucking question? She's like, because we fucking see them. They come to us, and sometimes it's not even gun related. Sometimes they come to us because they have stomach cramps and they have headaches and they have all this shit, and then we do all the tests and everything's normal, and then come to find out it's they're anxious, they're depressed, like it's not actually a medical thing, it's a nervous system thing, which I guess it's still medical, but it's not a health to a certain degree. It's not the flu. It's not really. It's a nervous system thing, and you couple that with the parents own a gun, and it very quickly turns into a suicide. That's why we asked the question. And obviously people are like, well, the government told them to ask the question. I was like, no, these people are operating at private hospitals. Yeah, some of them are funded through federal money and shit like that, but a lot of these are private organizations that are asking them. Like nobody's forcing them to ask the questions, but humans will always have um that thought, is how are they trying to fuck me? So conveying that message in this documentary is probably my biggest obstacle, is because both sides, and I've already gotten it, both sides always believe that you have a negative intent or negative. Well, fuck, we seen this with an organization that went batshit crazy. And I wouldn't even say it because I don't want to give them any publicity, but it's an organization that was supposedly pro gun, and their whole thing is let's connect people with mental health issues with a place where they can store firearms. Awesome, until you started seeing on LinkedIn, out of all fucking places, them attacking Sodini and fucking Pincus and I don't know if I was named personally, but KD,
Mhm.
attacking
Kevin Dixie.
KD, Kevin
Yep.
Dixie, and telling them that they're linked with these organizations and don't trust them and blah blah blah. And a lot of them, it was started off by the human that shall not be named, but Big Titties McGee, and the fight started kind of with that. And when I reached out to the person who founded this organization to be on the documentary, she's like, "Well, are you who's funding this?" And I guess that's an okay question to ask, but it's like it's just me doing it. Like, okay, but do you talk to these people? And immediately is like, we made a video about this, the 2A purity test. Like everybody
Mhm.
wants everything to be such a pure thing. Like you can't, like fucking don't drive then. And that's an uphill battle. Is just that those purity tests. Like everything must be 100% aligned with what I believe before I talk to you. It's just like that's garbage.
Yeah, there's no way to make progress. As we've said many times on this podcast, I don't even agree with myself sometimes. Like, how am I supposed to work forward if I have to be in 100% agreement with everybody that I work with? Um, and that doesn't mean that that we get to a point where we're like, oh, we don't agree with this law, but we're going to go ahead and support it. That's not what it means. It
Correct.
means, is there something that we want that you can help with and that we can work together on? So, working in the firearms injury prevention initiative, lots of people in that group don't agree. There's people in there who, if we talked about pretty much anything else, we would say we don't really have anywhere to go with this conversation right now. It's
Yeah,
not that important to us, and we're not going to agree. But what we do agree is the whole reason why we're there, which is to reduce negative outcomes with firearms through community-based efforts.
correct.
And so, and I think that gives us ultimately the opportunity to show the world, show the public, and maybe the politicians, but really it's the public we're trying to affect here, that we can solve our own problems without the government.
Correct.
And we can improve our problems without the government. So,
And
um,
it's almost 100% our responsibility.
yeah.
Like we're the ones that own the guns. We're the ones that do the things and the stuff with the guns. It's not the anti-gunners. So like I would argue that this is 100% our responsibility to solve this issue. It's not to say we accept blame for what the criminals do with it. It's not to say that we accept blame for somebody committing suicide. Like we're not. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is it's the tools that we use that are being used. Um, I'll use my wetbackness for this, but in my family chats, when they tolerate me there, and this is why I'm not involved that much in the family chats, is because when they bring up how this person's doing this and all this person's doing this, is just like you got to step back. We're like, yeah, but like we also have to look at the perception, right? We also have to look at the reality, because I get a lot of cousins, and I get it with this is not an immigration organization or anything like that, but I get this a lot from the humans in my family chats that talk about the shit that is in the headlines. And then I asked the cousin who's in Juarez, I was like, "Oh, do you have any issues coming to the US every day to go to work?" She's like, "Nah, I haven't had any issues. I go to work. I go to the US every fucking day. I cross the bridge every fucking day. I cross the border, the one that you and I crossed."
Hmm.
In fact, that cousin, she crosses every fucking day. She's got an express pass and all that shit. She's like, "No, I have no issues." And then I have cousins that are here illegally, and I asked them, "Do you have any issues?" Like, nope, haven't had any fucking issues. I was like, okay, so it's easy to post headlines,
Hmm.
but then when we look at the actual reality, like nobody's. I'm sure one or two are having issues, and we have the same thing with the gun stuff. It's we can't ignore that there's criminals using the guns, so like we can't solve everything, but they're still using the gun. How did they get the gun? Because a lot of the times we find out that it was a gun owner who we thought was responsible, and they allowed access to the firearms. That's how they got the guns, is or straw purchase.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, like on the topic of guns being stolen, um, it's not your fault that somebody committed a crime against you, but were you taking the responsible steps to store that gun safely? Like you keep a gun in your glove box, that's your truck gun. Do you need that gun to stay in the glove box 100% of the time? Is the risk of that gun getting stolen worth the benefit of you maybe someday possibly being in your car without the gun when you needed it? Um, and like, what's the more likely scenario? And how do you balance that risk and benefit? And if you're storing guns in vehicles for no good reason other than you think to yourself, well, it's my gun, it's my car, I can do what I want, then you do have some responsibility there.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
don't
I
know
mean,
if people know that they're portable.
yeah, so, but like, there's all kinds of reasons why people decide that they want to store a gun in the car, and I hear this constantly from people who store guns in their car. They say, "Oh, I got this gun. I built it as a cheap truck gun so that if it gets stolen, I won't miss it." I'm like, "That's cool that you have that kind of disposable income. I guess that's a cool flex." But you're talking about putting a gun into the hands of somebody who's willing to steal it from you and then do God knows what with it after that.
Correct. Correct.
Now, that doesn't mean every truck gun is a bad idea. My grandfather had a 1,500-acre ranch in rural Colorado, and he carried that truck gun to shoot coyotes when he's out patrolling his fields. But that's a way different situation than keeping
Correct.
an AR pistol in your trunk when you're driving around Aurora.
Correct.
The chances that you're going to need it and be able to access it and successfully use it against somebody who wants to harm you, as opposed to you keeping a handgun in a holster on your waist and that goes with you when you get into and out of the car.
Yeah.
It's, you know, um, and so the mental health thing is like, it's not your fault that somebody else decided to commit suicide.
Correct.
That's not your fault. Uh, However, if there were things that you could have done that reduced the chances that that would have happened, and you didn't do those things because you were lazy or afraid to talk about it or whatever, like that's a responsibility that you hold. And I'm speaking from experience with this, with the loss of my best friend. It's
Yeah.
not my fault he did what he did, but every single day I think about the fact that I didn't ask him some of the questions I probably should have asked him,
Correct.
you know? And unfortunately, I think sometimes people don't really understand that until they experience it. Um, Video I did earlier this week saying, people have a hard time understanding risk until something bad actually happens.
Correct.
But as a community, if we make this more normal to address these risks, then we're improving the situation. We're not going to stop everybody from trying to hurt themselves. We're not going to stop every negative outcome with a firearm, but we have a responsibility to take reasonable steps to reduce those risks where we can.
Yeah. And if we don't do it, then the government decides what those reasonable steps are.
Right.
And we know from experience that those are not reasonable. And they're not even steps. They're just a fucking pathway to something else more catastrophic.
Right. So I I bring up in classes somewhat regularly that people were happy to go out and buy a gun. It's very interesting, and then usually the next thing that they buy after they buy a gun is another gun. And for less than half of the cost of that new gun, you could be buying something, like a quick access safe
Yeah.
that has features on it that could not only benefit you, but also the people around you. And, but it's more fun to go buy another gun. Like, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm in the process of learning this too. It's not like I just came into this knowledge as soon as I bought my first firearm. But part of my awareness of it has been being in the culture of people who care about this and who talk about it and who hold each other accountable to take this stuff
Yeah.
more seriously. So
Yeah, it's I mean, we see this with training. It's the correct thing, the
mhm,
responsible thing is not fun, it's not cool, it's not appealing. So it gets set back. Right? In
mhm,
training, we talk about this all the time, and we struggle with this all the time with humans who emphasize, well, it's fun. I like fun. Fun's better. Fun's more awesome because
mhm,
it's fun. It feeds the dopamine. And yeah, but it's not the correct thing. It's not the responsible thing. It's not, and it's fun. It's cool sometimes, but when we're talking about humans committing suicide, I don't think there is no fun there.
right,
There is no like, well, but this is more fun. Like, yeah, but like you're buying a simple fucking tool that can help minimize the negative outcomes with firearms. So like there's no replacing that. There's no in training you could say, yeah, this is more fun and I'm probably never gonna have to need my gun anyways. Like I can swallow that. I can accept that. I could be like, yeah, the chances of humans needing a gun for self-defense is slim to fucking none. Like it's pretty fucking minimal. It's not zero. That's why we carry the guns. But when it
mhm,
comes to the suicide, it's like there's really no argument for the this idea or that mentality. Like, but it is better for me to go buy another gun. Why would I buy a safe when it costs just as much as a gun? Like, yeah, because the fucking casket is significantly more expensive than both of those combined. So like,
yeah,
I think you can afford to go get a fucking a quick access. Say, fuck, stop box is like two for $100 sometimes, and
yeah,
it's a mechanical one, and then you always have the humans who are like, well, the lock picking lawyer can get at it for in fucking under 2 seconds. I was like, yeah, but that's the lock picking lawyer. Like you do it in 2 seconds
yeah.
and report back to me.
Well, the data is very clear for suicide is that the more
I'm going to
barrier
stop you there really quick. I appreciate. Uh, can you guys do that in a super thanks? I think or a super sticker. I don't know what the fuck those are all about, but you
super.
guys can you can
Yeah,
do
Glenn
any.
was in a class last month, and some other people. I see YouTube Soldier Q. I think he came to one of my classes not that long ago. So it's good to see you guys online.
And he's frozen again. He'll probably come back here in a little bit, but and finish his thought before I rudely interrupted him. He may have to get onto his.
The internet hates me. My internet hates me.
Yeah.
It seems like it's doing it like on a regular interval. Um, oh, now you were sitting there still, and then you blinked, and
Yeah.
I was like, um, Tad's been around a long time. Joseph's been around a long time, so I appreciate you guys dropping into the
Noodles is relatively new.
Noodles. Noodles is the name of the bass player from The Offspring. So,
Nice.
um, yeah, the data is very clear that the more barriers that there are in the moment of suicidal ideation, the less likely that person is to attempt to commit the act. Um, it's one of the reasons why firearms tend to be used less often is because they are less accessible than some of the other options like pills or things like that. Um, Unfortunately, firearms, when they are used, are incredibly effective for
Yeah.
suicide. So, um, but a stop box easily could save a life, even though it's a relatively easy, secure device to break into. It's a 30, 40, $50 item that slows down the process and
Right.
creates more barriers.
And then that's the argument, right? Yeah, but like what if somebody breaks in? Like that's 30-40 seconds that I'm gonna need. Like no, that's 30-40 seconds for the human trying to break into the stop box. That's not 30-40 seconds for you.
Right.
For you, the time wise, like if I don't have mine like right here next to me, I do have it here in the office, but I don't have it like right here next to me. But like you can get into these sub 1 second, it just like a holster if you wanted to be douchey and talk about time.
Hmm.
But like if I hear the noise, it's relatively easy for me to get into it. It's really not more difficult than me getting into a drawer
Right.
and grabbing the fucking gun. Like it really isn't.
Yeah.
We're on a
So,
live, so we can't do the gun
yeah,
stuff
to
before.
open mine, I'm going to hit this and I'm going to hit that, and it's open. So,
So
you know,
yeah,
Um,
there is no argument. So people are like, it's going to take too long. Like, no, for the human trying to break into it
yeah.
to kill themselves with it, or
And, if you're following good, reasonable, home defense plan, then you've already done some fortification that increases the amount of time that you
right,
have to prepare to defend yourself. So,
correct.
you're not carrying the stop box around with you at King Supers. You're carrying the gun securely in the holster. But when you have to take that gun off, the whole point is to delay access to that firearm or increase the amount of effort it takes to access that firearm.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
um, so you are in the editing stage of the documentary. You've done all your filming.
I have not done all the
Oh
filming.
wait, you still got to interview me.
I still got to interview you. I've got Bristlecone, Jackie over at Bristlecone. I'm probably going to do a few um, gun shops,
Hmm.
and then um, I'll probably there's a few students that have a. I posted something a while back, and there was just some randos, and nobody important that highlighted a big subject that I'm probably ignoring, and I don't know if I still don't know if it's appropriate for the documentary or not, but they were talking about like, well, don't forget about drugs and alcohol, and I was like, yeah, but this is about guns, so I don't like. It sucks that people commit suicide with those, but like the focus is like, no, 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 it's not that. It's they will use it to then go get the gun, and
Hmm.
it's kind of the inhibitor. It's they know they want to commit suicide, so before then they get super drunk or they take the pills to ease the nerves, I guess, and then they do it,
Yeah.
and then they do it. So it's talking to humans like that, just regular Joe schmoes to have a conversation about this stuff. We already had one, and you know him. It's Anastasi. He, I think that's how you say his last name, but because his dad was Erpoed, he
Hmm.
had a Erpo his dad. So talked about those. So I might have a few more people. So I'm doing that, and then we get into the editing stages. It's pretty close to complete though. It's pretty close to compete complete. Um, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
My biggest battle is my own self, right? Part of why I do these videos is or these documentaries or whatever is just because we're affected by the shit that affects us personally, and this is one
Right.
of those subjects. And there's uh we got zero money, so my budget is like negative 400 something dollars. Trying to get to the people is tough, and then there's a big production crew that has all the money that's doing basically what I'm doing. They just have all the money, so that's discouraging as fuck to know that somebody else with all the fucking money in the world is probably going to do a better job, but it's working with all that bullshit and trying to get it done all by yourself. It's
Well, you
fucking
know what
tough.
you need to raise some funds is a bunch of celebrities talking to the camera in black and white, repeating a script that was written for them,
Yeah,
and them using all their acting skills to sound sincere about
sincere. Yeah,
something that they don't
that's what
really
the fuck I
understand. Yeah, that's where the money is.
for the fucking
Yeah.
shit.
Um, all right. So, anything else you want to say about the documentary?
Uh, no, no, no. No, you guys better fucking like it. If you don't like it, I'm gonna cry. Uh, I'm gonna super cry.
I'll
No,
say,
that's always the fear that it's not good, but that's my own insecurities. That's just my own shit that I have to deal with and all that stuff. So
well, as a completely unqualified critic, the rhetoric documentary really did blow me away when I watched it. I was like, wow, this was really, really good. Um,
well, I've seen some Netflix documentaries. I was like, yeah, like I don't. That's like if that's what the fuck's on Netflix, like
yeah.
I'm okay. Like I'm fucking 100% okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I'm not excited to be interviewed because I'm probably gonna cry So
Yeah.
crying on camera is not my favorite thing to do. But kind of on the topic of that, I had a conversation with in the group chat with the boys, where somebody was, this particular individual has been getting hammered lately by life, and I mean like really hammered. Um, and it's like all the bad luck you could have wrapped up into 1 year.
Yeah.
And we talk about, people like, well, mental illness and suicide. Well, a lot of suicide is centered around circumstances. And so this person was saying, I can't believe this, and just made an offhand comment about, um, suck starting a 9 millimeter.
Yeah. Well, that's not the place where you want the fucking internet to fail you. Hopefully he comes back, but I'll take the time. I just sent you not a direct message, but I replied to you, Tad. Send me a DM and we can figure something out about getting you on the documentary if it's appropriate and all that stuff. No promises and all that stuff. It has to fit to everything else we're doing. Go.
Yeah.
You're back.
So yeah. So this guy had made a comment about, kind of an offhanded comment about suck starting a 9.
Son of a bitch again. Again. Hopefully he gets back on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Audio's back.
Okay. So I had to sit there and ask myself, am I going to be the one that's going to make this awkward for everybody and ask the question, do you need me to hang on to your guns?
Yeah.
And that, I didn't want to do that. But I also don't want to be given a eulogy either.
Again.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like that, that idea of like the temporary discomfort to avoid the long-term terribleness, and I think a big part of me being able to ask that question is just being kind of immersed in the culture of like, this has got to be normal for us. We have to make
Yeah.
this normal, so yeah, it's meaningful to me on a personal level, but also just big picture gun person. It's
Yeah.
very meaningful to me. So you have no idea what people are going through behind the scenes. You
Well,
have no.
and I'll say this, as somebody who struggles with this, and I'm pretty open about it. I'm pretty, and I don't struggle with depression. I struggle with nihilism more
Mhm.
than depression. I think I've come to that conclusion, but it's I get into these fits, and I don't know what the appropriate word is, but I'll say fits of the pity party.
Mhm.
Woe is me. Everything sucks. Life sucks. And you can see hints on it about it on Instagram. I try my best not to let it affect me so much, but you can see hints of it. But there's always humans who will say something like, You just need to reach out." Like, but you don't get it. Like, you don't understand. Like, so you're telling me I have to feel like life sucks, and then on top of that, I'm the one that has to reach out.
Yeah. Right.
And like I'm the one that has to come out and say this. So and the only reason I bring this up is because it's that we see the subtleness, we see it, and we nervous laugh it off to a certain degree. Like we see the human saying stuff, and in the moment in their brain, it's probably not like on purpose. It's probably just like I'm just saying it.
Mhm.
This is how I feel right now. I'm just letting all out, and then we nervous laugh it off. And then when they die, we say shit like, "Well, they should have just reached out."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well," but then, and this is me speaking from experience. Then you feel like a burden.
Mhm.
Then you feel like I'm just burdening my friends with my bullshit. They have their own bullshit to deal with. It's not their responsibility. It's not. That's not it. So it's this weird balance of sure, I want to reach out, but I also don't want to be a burden because I know you're busy, and I know you've got life, and you got work, and you've got travel, and you've got vacation, and all that. I don't want to ruin your vacation while I'm fucking about to commit suicide. Like it's that weird fucking balance of, and I want to make it fucking clear that's not where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm just saying these are the things that we ought to consider when we say shit like on the internet. Well, if you're struggling, just reach out. Like, yeah, but now you're
Yeah.
adding more burden to
Well,
my already burdened life.
well, to further hit the nail on the head, uh, the day before my friend committed suicide, I sent him a picture of me on vacation, because he said happy anniversary. So I was like, here, quick picture of us at our anniversary dinner. So he knew that I was busy. He knew I was
Yeah.
off doing fun things, and and that very well could have played into it. Not that I'm not saying it's my fault, but I'm just saying
Right.
that that's a what your example is like perfect example, because that's exactly what happened. you
Yeah.
know and this person, this wasn't a situational thing for him. This was his whole life. He was battling mental illness, but um, that that decision to reach out is completely overshadowed by the fact that that you're already at the lowest point in your life, and now you got to go ask for something, like so that's
It's
just on a human level. That's
it
why we should be asking each
yeah,
other these questions.
it's humiliating,
Yeah,
right? Like it's
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. So, and the thing is like the not talking about it is worse, I think, in the awkwardness than just talking about it.
Yeah,
Like, it feels like it's going to be worse until you do it, and then it's like, oh, well, I guess we're just humans. Oh
yeah,
yeah, we're just humans. We can talk about this kind of stuff.
correct.
And so, but it's kind of like that explored territory. If you've done it before, it's not as hard to do it again. Like doing it that very first
Correct.
time, that's the really difficult thing.
Well,
Um,
and this is why I'm so open about the way I struggle with it.
mhm.
It's I've learned that one when I'm open about it, I don't give it power, the cliche, but
Right,
it doesn't have the power over me. Like it's I can just release it, to just
right.
let it go. Just it's gone. But it's like everything else in life. It's the first time it's getting the suck out. It's
Mhm.
everything we do. It's just getting the suck out. Once it's gone, then it does become easier, and it's just normal conversation now. Now, like,
Yeah,
hey, I'm not feeling so hot right now, so I guess it's not fun to tell my wife, hey, this is how I feel right now,
yeah,
because she's the one that hears all of the details.
right.
Outside of my wife, I try my best not to give people like exact details of what the fuck's going on in my brain, for various reasons, but like it sucks. That's not fun. But the alternative is don't say anything, keep it bottled in, and then it's a surprise to the family when they walk in and
Yeah.
there's a fucking dead human. So I've since I was a teenager, that was the last time when that was a serious issue, the topic of suicide for me.
Mhm.
But a lot of it has been when I got married when I was fucking 15, 3 kids by the time I was 21. I got too busy to be depressed,
Mhm.
and then you get older, and then your kids get older, and all that shit. So now it's back to like you're just basically at the beginning.
Yep.
This is why older dudes fucking commit suicide at a much higher rate, is
Mhm.
because now you're back to your fucking little kid years, right? Now you got too much time on your hand, and um, it's said, and this is a sneak peek to one of the conversations we had. Jay is the one that highlights this idea that being depressed is a poor man's problem. I mean, a rich man's problem, because poor people are too busy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not entirely true,
Yeah.
but when you find yourself with too much time on your hands, and not working is one of them, right? So that's a poor
Yeah.
people issue. Is you don't have a job, trying to find a job. So it's a weird mix. It's a weird conversation. It's a fucking tough conversation, but I think that with the documentary we try and highlight and hit the high notes and do all that shit, and don't have the money, but I think we it's I think it's like a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Is you go to the fancy places that have all the money and like, yeah, the food's good, like it's all right, and then you go to the shit, the fucking hole in the wall,
Yeah.
and there's just something about it that just your soul is fed. Like
Yeah.
it's not just your taste buds, but like your soul is like, this was way better than that fucking $500 meal we just had a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. Like it's kind of like, I hope it's like that. But I'm
Well,
excited about it.
I think every good documentary, and I'm not saying yours is good yet. I won't blow smoke up your ass, but I think every good documentary comes from somebody who just deeply passionate about the topic, and is
Yeah,
going to explore it in ways that are meaningful. So I'll compare you to Ken Burns.
I'm gonna have to Google now.
You don't know who Ken Burns is?
Uh-uh.
Oh my God. Okay. All the white people know who Ken Burns is.
Yeah,
So let's talk about Minnesota.
yeah.
Let's talk about the way you titled this episode, which is well, the thumbnail you used
The
was, yeah, but
thumbnail.
who did he vote for? Um, this is not going to solve anything to look at this guy's political affiliation.
Well, it seems like that's the trend lately. The trend that lately is, who did he have sex with and who did he vote for?
Yeah.
But it goes back to what we talked about, I think, in the beginning, which is somebody wants somebody to blame. I think I only had one person, because I posted this on the social medias yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was only one human who had a pretty decent argument. Like having data points is good. The only problem with this is, if I go to some of the left leaning gun groups, they're saying, well, this has right wing written all over it, because some of his magazines were talking about
Jews.
Jews and step on the spick or some shit
Mm-hmm.
like that. So we're talking about Mexicans, but altogether, fuck Trump. And
Mm-hmm.
historically, you have racism on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Fidel Castro and Che Guevara did not like black people, and they did not fucking like gay people. So you've seen that in the left leaning stuff, in the communist, and you see that with ultra right. So at the end of the day, though, kids died, kids are injured, parents are going to have to bury their kids, and all the internet's worried about is, was he a Republican, was he a Democrat? So I can
Right.
point the finger at that party, as if that party is to blame for that. It's weird that gun people want to play the game that anti-gunners play with us. Well, it was guns that were used, so obviously all gun people are bad. So let's take guns away from all bad people. It's that. Well, it was Democrats, so obviously let's take guns from Democrats. Like what's the argument here? Like
Yeah.
what's
Well, one of my guilty pleasures is cruising ar15.com and just trying to get a finger on the pulse of the, we'll say, much more ideologically driven gun owners, much more ideologically on the right gun owners. And there's a fair number of people who talking about this, saying that all trans people should have their guns taken away because they're mentally ill.
yeah.
Well, who's going to take them? And to give them credit, there are quite a few people who are like, freedom is dangerous. You're letting a tragedy drive your position on freedom. And freedom, like, the Second Amendment is for humans. It's not for a party. But there are plenty of people who want to make guns a party issue, and that Democrats shouldn't even be allowed to have guns, let alone, trans people or whatever. Instead of just problem solving on how to protect children. And you protect children by putting people who are capable of violence between the children and the bad guy. And a lot of the places we keep our children don't have anybody there to protect them other than some locked doors. You
Yeah.
know, I go to my kids' school to pick them up, and I'm not a bad guy. I promise, I swear on my life, I'm not a bad guy. But when I go to the school, I'm looking at ways that I could get in there and get around their security, just to understand what the real level of security at that school is. You know, and they've got the locked doors, but you don't like it doesn't take much to get past the locked doors. And
Oh, the locked doors that have windows?
yeah, the locked doors that have windows. So at one of my kids' last schools, you go through the locked door and there's another locked door, but between those two locked doors is a countertop where you talk to the administrator, and that you could go right through there into the school. And they have one police officer for 1,200 kids for a 5-acre campus.
It's crazy.
You know, and we've seen that people have started to improve some school security, and we've seen that, and church security, and places where people gather, and where they take security more seriously, the threats that do show up tend to be handled very quickly.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the person. It doesn't mean nobody's ever going to try.
Yeah.
But instead of going to, you know, a funeral for a bunch of small kids, we're going, you know, like there's a funeral for the attacker. And I don't celebrate anybody's death, but if somebody's going to attack the school, then we're just going to have to accept the outcome that that person
Correct.
is not going to make it, you know? And, you know, the conversation.
Uh-oh, I think we're gonna have to retitle this to Watch Isaac Freeze every 15 minutes. We're gonna time this.
Yeah, I was going to switch to my phone, but the phone internet is not much better than the home internet. So, but we do want to assign blame immediately. We want to blame it on the politicians, and blame it on the other, and uh, that's just not going to solve the problem. If we want to solve the problem, we have to look at the root causes of unprotected spaces. You know, we walk around ourselves. We understand the need for defense for ourselves. We lock our doors. We arm ourselves, etc.
Yeah. Uh-oh. That one was quicker.
So from
So
your point of view, let's
Tad.
yeah, Tad has the question. What's the reason why we
No,
don't
but
have?
you had a question. Oh, Tad said, "What is the reason why we don't have the protection for schools?" There's all kinds of reasons. There's some that are good. There's some that are bad, and one of the things we have to ask ourselves is: will increased security at the school, official security at the school, actually prevent the stuff? It depends on your political receptors, because we have seen outside of schools where there was a lot of police presence and there was still a lot of violence. So police presence didn't really minimize. You can see Chicago. Now, some people are probably going to rebuttal that, well, they're understaffed and whatever. But like, I don't know if you've ever been to New York, but there's fucking cops everywhere downtown New York, fucking everywhere, every fucking block, every corner. And guess what? Crime still happens, deaths still happen, murders still happen. Um, fuck, bombings still happen, and there's no evidence that has reduced a whole lot. People feel safer, and then there's the argument of, now when I go to school, it just feels like a prison, because there's guards everywhere, and there's I went to DPS schools, and in fact, Tish and I, she was talking about, like, oh, what kind of school has, so she's seen a private school, and it had a little guard shack. It's like, oh my god, like, what kind of school has that? I was like, I fucking went to DPS, and there's fucking metal
Yeah,
detectors out in a fucking guard shack. Like, that's
yeah,
like, I don't know what the fuck you're trying to say here, but it's at DPS schools, some of them have increased security. In East High School,
Mhm.
still happen. Shooting at East High School still happens. So like I don't know that that's going to solve anything. And I think that's part of the problem is we're throwing money at the issue and we're just saying, well, just have more cops there, just have more armed security there. And I don't know that that's going to solve the issue because you were about to say something about finding the root cause.
Yeah, and I don't I honestly, I don't know. I'm not, uh, I think in a position where I could pronounce what the remedy is. Um, my general attitude about security is that people will take the security precautions that they think they need.
Yeah,
And if in a relatively peaceful society where horrible things, even though they do happen, they don't happen enough to where people will take those extra steps. And I'm not saying that school shootings are acceptable. I'm saying that your security posture tends to reflect what you believe the true threat is, what
yeah,
you actually believe the true threat is. And the truth is that millions of kids go to school every single day across this country and nothing happens at that school,
correct.
you
This
know?
is why 95%, 97% of gun people don't take real training
Yeah,
for
because
self defense seriously because
so you take a place like Brazil where the crime is much higher and law enforcement in particular is constantly targeted. And so you have law enforcement who's always armed, whether they're on the job or not. Um, Whereas here, we tend to let our guard down because we don't truly believe the threat is real enough on a regular basis to increase our security posture. Um, and that perception might be real or not, but it is a pretty pervasive perception.
yeah,
People people leave their doors unlocked. People leave their car running in their driveway. You know, you wouldn't do that if you honestly believed your car was going to get stolen. So I don't know what the issue is, and I don't know what the issue or like I don't know what the solution is with the school shootings, other than that I think we do generally have a somewhat of a sick society.
yeah,
And whatever the cause of that sick society is, we got to fix that if we expect to see a change in the way that we treat kids who are in crisis and kids who are angry enough that they'll find a way to arm themselves and then target other kids. So,
correct,
and you know, that doesn't have to follow ideological lines, because some of these kids, uh, you wouldn't characterize them as you know, left or Democrat or trans or whatever. Some of them are, some of them aren't. You know, and so, um, but without sounding callous, you know, if you want to live in a free society, you have to accept the risk that free people will make bad choices.
correct,
Um, and some people have taken their kids out of school and decided to homeschool them because they can't stomach the idea of something like this happening to their kids at school.
correct,
And there's the conviction, right? There's the action that follows the belief, that I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to sacrifice my time and my effort to make sure my kids are safe at home rather than being in a school where I can't protect them.
correct.
And I've had that same conversation with myself. Like I've thought about that.
Yeah,
It hasn't led to me taking my kids out of school, but like I have played with that idea in my head. Like, how worried about this am I really? Um, and where's the real risk for your kids at school is probably getting there to and from school.
yeah,
You know, um, I was hit by a car on my way to the school when I was a little kid. I almost got killed crossing the street to go to the school. Kids get run over by school buses. Kids get hit on school buses. You know, it's like it's not like it's okay that it happens because bad things can happen anywhere. It's just you have to understand, if you're going to look at overall risk, you have to consider all the risks and what you're going to do to control or mitigate those risks.
correct. Yeah,
So
and I think that's why it's so complex to have a solution for this is every community is going to value that risk benefit a little bit differently.
yeah.
And again, you quickly realize this shit's super fucking expensive.
Hmm.
It's extremely expensive. Not all training is good training. So are you even providing good training? I think 90%. I'm going to say this, and people are going to get mad at me. I'm sure it's going to be all over the fucking rumor mills. Faster here in the state of Colorado, I seen some of their training does a horrendous job at training these teachers. They do, like, it's a noble cause, and it's awesome that but I seen some of their training and it's fucking dog shit.
Mhm.
It's not something where I'd be like, oh, there's these people, like it's there's these people at my school, yay. Like, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, their shitty training is probably going to get somebody killed before the bad guy does the killing. So you have to work with that as well. Is now you increase safety. Go find online how many cops have left their gun in the bathroom stall somewhere.
Yeah, it
Um,
happened recently. A cop left his gun behind, and a 15-year-old kid ND'd that gun in the bathroom when he found it.
yeah. So that's going to increase. So you have to consider all of this stuff. Is we 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 want to find a utopian way of solving this, and there isn't. To your point, it's bad shit's going to happen.
Yeah,
But we do have to figure out, more importantly, is why it's so widespread compared to before.
yeah,
It's still rare. Let's acknowledge that it's still incredibly fucking rare for a school shooting to happen.
yeah,
It even here in the U.S., it is incredibly fucking rare for it to happen here in the U.S. and anywhere. Super fucking rare. But as rare as it is, it's still higher than it was back when there was less gun control. And one of the pitfalls that we fall into, or one of the traps that we fall into, is the causation correlation thing. Is we're very quick to say, well, look, here's the number, and this is when the gun crime increased in schools. And like, well, maybe though, like in California, they did this. Um, they passed a bunch of fucking anti-gun laws, and they seen crime go down, and they're like, see, it worked. I was like, yeah, but that happened nationwide. Like, it
mhm,
was this was a trend that was happening nationwide in states that were loosening gun control laws. So like that's a false narrative there to say, because this is why. And then the blame is on mental health issues. I think we ought to be careful with that as well, in in painting this with a broad brush, with, well, it's all mental health, because now anybody with any type of mental health is going to be labeled as a fucking murderer. And like 99% of humans who struggle with mental health is, by definition, just anxiety. Just, I'm nervous, I bite my nails, I fucking smoke cigarettes, I like, that's a mental health issue. Now they're labeling the trans issue as a mental health issue, and I'm not an expert in that shit, but like, if you're gonna label that, then smokers have mental health issues. People who need to drink have mental health issues, and I think we can point to that. That's 100% real.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Tad says people need mental health, but a lot of people can't afford to pay for it, and that's the big problem. And that is true. The unfortunate reality is that every system is going to produce waste, and every system is eventually going to become too complex for its own problem.
yeah,
And we're talking about something as big and as complex as the healthcare system. Not everybody's going to get what they need, and that sucks. And there's ways we can improve that, um, but we can also point to the fact that the mental health that is out there, in a lot of ways, has gotten much better than it used to be. Um, and so that's progress in that. So we tend to fixate on the failures and not on the successes. The failures, I think humans are just wired that way,
yeah,
to focus on the failures. We're problem solvers, so we look for problems to solve. But I don't know what to do about the healthcare system. I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, if I got pneumonia back in February and I had it resolved in a couple of days. And in this terrible healthcare system, I had the people and the resources in, a couple miles from my house to solve a problem that could have killed me, you know,
Yeah.
100 years ago. So it's
Nuh-uh, because back then it was all organic, and
yeah,
back then
yeah,
there was no
no
chemicals.
vaccines and
Nuh-uh.
yeah. So um this was a tragedy, although I will say I feel like this one is being leveraged by both sides to continue the name calling and division that we're just seeing on a large scale in our country, which is, I think, a reflection of just our society being sick. um so I mean, we saw Columbine happen, we saw Paducah, Kentucky, we saw um Sandy Hook. We saw these things and they became like national news stories. And then after a while, it's just like, oh, they somehow became not as important over time until it becomes politically uh, convenient to
Yeah,
make it a problem.
yeah.
So um, it sucks not having the answers for this stuff, like, because you want to pay attention to it, but when it comes to people spouting off all the things you think are not going to help, and they're like, well, what do you think is going to help? And like, I don't know, but whatever you're doing is not going to help. Like, that's a tough spot to be in. But
Well, I'd have to confirm this and see how true it is in 2025 and different research. I don't think we have enough research. As much shit as I talk about the researchers, because they're the ones that siphon all the money,
yeah.
is like you need it, but at the same time, it's they siphon all the fucking money. But at some point, the understanding was that the only real way to predict violence is the only precursor to violence was previous violence.
Hmm.
Um, so we don't know enough about some of these humans. Some of them we do. Some of them we had plenty of fucking information. This dude's a piece of shit, and then police did absolutely nothing about it. Your government at work, and
Hmm.
then others were fucking kind of at a left field. Like there was, we were working on it, and then it just kind of just came out of nowhere. Um, and this is what this people argue for background checks all the time. Like a lot of people who commit crime had never been caught before, never committed crimes before. So like background checks are fucking pointless,
Hmm.
especially in a free society. Um, so to say, well, we need to look at their history, we need to look at this, like it's really hard to identify who's going to commit violence if there was no history of violence to begin with. And that's most of the human beings that are committing the violence, is they had no history of it. Some of them do, but a lot of these people, there was no evidence to suggest that they were going to be violent humans. Maybe mental health issues, but again, mental health can be all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Fucking watching porn, needing to watch porn every, because I have to be careful because I don't want to label myself as an addict. Needing to watch porn. I don't need to. I can quit whenever I want.
Yeah.
Needing to watch porn is a mental health issue. But again, does that mean you're going to murder somebody?
Right.
Needing to drink every fucking night, that's a mental health issue. But does that mean you're going to fucking, most likely with alcohol, because that makes you very violent, needing to smoke a joint every fucking day, 3 times a day, that's a fucking mental health issue. So like we have to be careful with this idea of, well, how do we find the next mass shooter? Like it's almost impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, William April did a lot of work on helping to educate the public that evil is a real thing and that people don't think the way you think. Like, there are people out there who will victimize you just because they can. And so people will see something tragic happen, they say, we should have seen this coming. It's like, well, if you don't understand this stuff, then you're not going to see it coming. You have to be able to recognize that there are people out there who will exploit whatever weakness there is to cause evil. And we're not going to stop that. I don't mean that we can't prevent bad things from happening. I mean, we're never going to stop evil from existing. And
Yeah.
somebody who's going to go target a bunch of kids is an evil person, um, who might be in the middle of a mental health crisis, but they might just be an evil person. And ever since, Cain killed Abel with a rock to the head because he wanted something he couldn't have, like, that's been out there. And so it's this fine line of, like, not accepting things as the way they are without being able to improve them, at the same time accepting that the world is a place of chaos and harm. And we it's funny, we'll accept a war before we'll accept that somebody would walk into a school with a firearm. Well,
And and as a society, we'll almost encourage the war.
yeah,
My
yeah,
side said it's a good thing, so we should bomb little kids
yeah.
in the
We
Middle East.
Yeah, we should turn the Middle East into a sheet of glass,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just, humans are incredibly complex, and we don't even understand ourselves, let alone the people around us. So, um, it's a tragedy, and I think from my point of view, I just try not to, as much as I can, play into the finger pointing, um, and because I think it's ultimately just does more harm than good. Uh, I am concerned with trying to find root causes and reduce harm, but blaming other people is not going to get us anywhere. So,
yeah. Well, and that's kind of how legislation happens.
mhm,
Is trying to blame other humans, and like, oh well, we'll just pass a law because obviously that's what people think they're electing politicians for. They just pass a law so that people that I disagree with can't do the shit that I disagree with, and then that just solves all the problem. Let's legislate morality, and in fact, that almost makes it more difficult for us to solve the root cause because we become distant from it, and then kind of full circle on this bitch
mhm,
is we become separated from it. We're no longer personally attached to the problem because we pawned it off to somebody else. Fucking somebody else is going to take care of it. It goes back to the problems that we have with finding these sheriffs is they want us to fight it, and then it's like, no, but you should fight it. Like you
mhm.
should do. No, but Edgar and Isaac are here and they'll do it for free, and they can be my little bitch, and we don't have to give them
Yeah.
anything. We'll just make sure that they're fucking poor, homeless, don't have cars, but they'll do it for free. So like they're fucking dumbasses. And now this is always a struggle. Now you create the society where they just rely on Edgar and Isaac to do it, or RMGO, or what have you.
Mhm.
And that's a problem. I know we're talking about mental health, but like that's a fucking problem. Is somebody else should take care of this? It's like, no, I should take care of this.
Yep.
There was this cliche, and we used to say it a lot more. And I've had to learn that cliches are cliches because they mean something, and they were true to a certain degree. Or but this particular cliche was one of those little kitty ones where like you get told that in class and in school, and cheesy PSAs and all that shit. And maybe just because I'm old now, but it's just like be the change you want to see.
Mhm.
And it's that. um and maybe if you don't live it, then it's difficult for you to understand. But it's just, again, it goes back to I'm bitching about it but not doing anything about it. And maybe what you're doing isn't correct in every community, but like if you're doing something, it might be correct in your community, or you find out that maybe this is not the community for me and I need to go to a community where it
Yeah.
aligns with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
um
it's kind of funny because, the corporate world has adopted this pretty strongly with the concept of continuous improvement. And the motive for continuous improvement in the corporate world is make more money, or longevity. Like, we want to be a good money making company for a long time. We
Long
don't want to
time.
we don't want to do solutions that are going to cause us more problems in the long run, but continuous improvement. So that means every time we meet as a team or as a group, we try to identify the biggest problems and fix those problems and acknowledge that problems are going to exist even when things are going well, you know. And this is in fact like a religious principle too. So it's kind of cheesy that the corporate world has adopted this, but it is very effective at looking at, we can't solve every problem, but can we solve these problems today?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once we do solve these problems, we know that there will be more problems in the future to solve, and we'll deal with those problems when they come up. And we don't accept the status quo as anything other than an opportunity to solve more problems.
Correct.
And so, uh, and that's been helpful for me to see it play out in the corporate world. But I've also kind of looked at my life that way since I was like in my 20s, that I can't be perfect, but I can try to solve as many problems for myself as possible. And accepting that I'll never solve all of them, but I can make things better.
Correct.
And that, I think that's there's a trap in thinking that if we just did this one thing, we would get rid of this problem. And that's really not how it works. And so as a gun community, that falls back on us to take responsibility for the problems that we can solve.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a constant conversation in my marriage is we need to solve this problem. Yeah, but there's just going to be another problem. I was like, yeah, that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally the whole fucking point is we solve one and it's no longer a problem, and then we tackle the next one,
Yeah.
and that's just life. And like
There's only one point in your lifespan where all your problems are solved.
when you're dead, you're
Yeah.
fucking
But
dead.
then they just become someone else's problem. So
That's
yeah.
crazy.
All right. To kind of wrap up with a non sequitur, I want to show a video. And
Video time.
we don't have to watch the video. I just want to pull it up so people can find it. US Law Shield put out a video on let's see.
Oh, this is gonna be bad if it's
This was
U.S.
put
Law
out,
Shield.
yeah.
It's
This was put out today. And it was a video trying to explain the new concealed carry permit requirements. And
here in the state of Colorado.
in the state of Colorado. So the title of the video is Firearm Law Update Colorado Concealed Carry Permit. And there's a few problems with this video, but I want to focus on the main one, which is that the guy in the video, and I'll show him. Some people may know who this is since he's probably had his face around Colorado here and there. But in the video, he's talking about how different sheriffs have different requirements. And
Oh
so
no.
his answer to that is you need to check with your sheriff's department about
Oh
what their
no.
requirements are so that
Oh
you
no.
can follow them. And this
Did,
person is speaking from a position of authority.
did you comment? Did you comment?
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So I said the inconsistencies between counties when it comes to dates, certificates, instructor verification requirements, and training requirements should not be tolerated. We have a lot of experience with this. The county sheriffs are bound by the letter of the law. They have no discretion here. No response from U.S. Law Shield on that
Of
yet.
course not.
Other comments are, I recently moved to Texas because I think we can all see that Colorado's getting more and more unhinged. It's like, how does that solve anything? But this is an organization that wants your money, and their advice to you is to
Just
bend the
obey.
knee, obey, instead of fighting for your
Jesus
rights
Christ.
and requiring the sheriff to follow the same laws that you have to follow. And so there was a couple other things that were wrong about this video, and I want to be a little bit careful about that because we're putting out our own videos about the laws, and it's very possible that we make errors too. It could be an error of omission. You didn't say something that would have made more sense. It
Correct.
could be that you used a word that you didn't mean to use, and it changed the meaning of what you said. I've put out a few videos on laws. You've put out a few videos on laws, and I'm just waiting for somebody at some point to say, "Oh, you got this wrong. You need to correct that." But that's the trap of going to these resources and treating them as the authority.
Correct.
You have a responsibility to verify the information that you receive and not take things just based on face value. And we have a responsibility when we put out information to put out the best information we possibly can, but also be open to adjusting that information if we are told, oh, you got this wrong, and we go look it up, and you're like, oh, you're right, we did get that wrong. But people use sources like this as, oh, now I know the law now. It's like, well, somebody with no accountability to you told you what the law was. That doesn't mean that it's true. Um,
Correct.
One of the other things about this video is that he said that this video is all about refresher courses, but that's not what the title of the video is. It's Colorado Concealed Carry Permit. So it's misleading right off the bat that we're talking about refreshers and not, new permit applications. So there's really two issues with the video, but the main issue is that, this person of authority is telling you to just do what the sheriff tells you to do. And that's not correct. So
Yeah, not even the slightest. Um, yeah, that just it's frustrating because it's going back to my fear with, and this shit happens to us a lot. Gundies were our idea.
mhm.
We had the first Gundies, and then some asshole with more money kind of took the idea and made it popular, and now everybody likes those Gundies. But we
Mhm.
had the first Gundies, and I think our Gundies were more aligned with the true spirit of Michael Scott.
Yeah. And Kanye
100%.
West.
And Kanye, yeah. And my documentary where it's the little guy with better information is going to be out moneyed. Now you have this again where a and by the way, US Law Shield, and I have to be careful on how I say this, but they've always had this problem where they're giving incorrect legal information. I was at a lunch with somebody who used to be part of their corporate team when they were trying to work with us. I was like, I don't want these people in my room anymore because they say a lot of incorrect stuff that it's not correct. And then I have to clarify it, and that just makes us look bad, and it's just not good practice. It's like if you want to be in our classrooms, you have to say correct shit. Yeah, it has
Mhm.
to be correct. It's like, well, what's not correct? I was like, here it is. And then he called his attorney. He called the person who wrote the book. He's like, hey, I've got this asshole. He didn't say that, but I know he was thinking it. I'd be
Yeah.
thinking it. I've got this asshole saying that you, the attorney, is wrong on this stuff. And then he's like, well, what section? He's like, this, that, and I forget what the fuck we were debating at that point, and debating, arguing. And then his attorney's like, well, I'd have to look it up, but I'll call you back in a few minutes. And we waited almost an hour for the reply, and the attorney never called back. I was like, but if you're the attorney and you're having to say, I don't know, let me go check, and I'll get back to you, like that's a pretty easy answer. Like it's not, we're not asking for nuance, we're not asking for case law, we're not asking for the notes, we're just asking for high level, is this correct, or explain yourself. I don't know, I'll get back to you. So I was like, I can't take that seriously. Like
Yeah.
I can't take that seriously in any way, shape, or form. Because an attorney that deals with gun laws, that works for the company that is supposed to protect you in gun laws, would know the information right off the bat. Like, yeah, this is what it means, and this short fat Mexican is wrong because of this, that, or the other, and then it would have been settled. So there's always a history of something like this, and whether it's malicious or not, I don't know. But I mean, starting off with you need to listen to the sheriffs, like very clearly you can read that in 1812-201 that's couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
And I want to give credit to another gentleman who we've had a couple emails with him. He's a trainer here in Colorado Springs, Colorado
Triple A,
AAA coach.
triple A coach.
Um, we've had a few conversations with him, and he's like done his own work to try to get to the right answers, and put that information out there.
Right.
Even though initially in our first couple interactions we didn't really agree with each other, He's putting forth a real solid effort to make sure the information he puts out there is correct.
Correct.
And that's all we're asking for from other people in the gun instructor space, is just do your due diligence and don't just take things at face value because some authority figure told you. And
Shit,
so,
we say this in our fucking in our own fucking videos. Like, do
mhm,
your own homework. I probably fucked up. This is probably outdated information. Fucking
mhm,
do your research. This is true today. There's a thing we say. I've been wanting to redo our law video because there's I think one or two things that has really confused students, and
mhm,
one of them is slightly incorrect. It was true at the time, but now a year later it's no longer true. So like but even there we say like I, I think I give the date and the time, and like this is true right now,
yeah,
but shit changes so fucking quick, and there's so much nuance, and um but then there's this where it's just a blatant lie. There's a difference between it was a a fruity slip. What is that, a fruity slip?
Freudian slip.
It was a slip of the verbal stuff. It was whatever, and this where it's on like you're actually telling humans, nope, just listen to whatever your sheriff says. There's a big fucking difference between those two.
Yeah. So one of the other errors he made, which is one that commonly was made in Colorado up until the law changed, was that you had to have a current training certificate in order to renew, and you didn't have to have a current training certificate to renew. Uh, but
Before the law changed.
before the law changed,
Yeah.
but I can understand why people would make that mistake, because the law, if it is, you have to read it very closely to understand why it's not required. Um,
Well,
but
it
then
wasn't.
what's that?
It wasn't required.
It wasn't required.
Yeah.
But then to say, just do whatever your sheriff tells you is the wrong attitude about
Correct.
it.
Correct.
So, um, and I'm not trying to shit on U.S. Law Shield. Other organizations have made similar mistakes. I think they're trying to serve the public to some degree with this, but you have a huge responsibility to think that through before you put that stuff out there.
Well, this is the problem in the trap that instructors fall into, and any corporation falls into, and all of that stuff. It's you you're appealing to the loud. You're fucking greasing up the loud fucking wheel, the squeaky wheel. That's what the fuck you're doing, and
Mhm.
that's sometimes not the problem. Like you WD the wheel, but like
Maybe
it
the track is crooked.
like it's probably something else. Like
Yeah.
it's these people just. I look at organizations, companies, instructors that have nothing but 5 stars, and oh, you're shit. You're garbage. You're garbage. Like if you have 5 stars and everybody loves you, you're garbage.
Yeah.
You're hot garbage because you're not willing to say the stuff that makes people uncomfortable, and telling people, hey, your sheriff is wrong. A great majority of gun people like to lick boots. Like
Mhm.
they fucking love the taste of fucking shoe leather, and they love it. They're just like, fucking love the fucking blue stripe. And when you tell humans, no, your sheriff is fucking wrong, you ought to vote that motherfucker out. People don't. We seen that when we said El Paso County Sheriff, a lot of gun people were like, it couldn't be. How? No way. My sheriff would ever
Right.
do that.
Right.
No way. So I can see why organizations like this will just appeal to that. I think, fuck all you guys. I think that restaurant should have kept the new logo and told you guys all to fucking suck a fat cock. You don't, because I promise you the people that were the loudest never go to fucking Cracker Barrel.
Right.
They couldn't tell you what the fuck is on their menu, but they were like, oh, golly GB, and uh they should have kept the new fucking logo and
As
told all
somebody
you
who does go to Cracker Barrel, uh, I did not even consider that I would stop going to Cracker Barrel because of a
You couldn't give 2 fucks about the logo.
yeah. So, um, yeah. All right. Well, man, we covered a lot. Um, we went almost 2 hours. I was gonna try to cut us off at an hour and a half because I have this insane sinus infection right now, but
Yeah,
the content was too good. Um,
yeah. We
but
we need to get we need to get this shit timed right so that gun websites starts
yes,
at the beginning.
yes,
'Cause we moved it 3 hours just for gun websites. We're like, we won't start at 5 because he's got his own shows that he's gotta do.
yeah,
And I think he does daily shows. He does daily shows. Um, so we need to time it so that he can start off at the beginning.
yep. All right. Well, we put a bunch of stuff at the beginning, but I'll just remind everybody GFE National is our main website where you find our training, instructor development, some other initiatives we have going on. Edgar has just started the blog, the AI blog, and
That's
um,
at gunsforeveryone.com.
yeah, and we've got classes, we got the documentary, we got lots of stuff going on. So donate,
Yeah, buddy.
donate.
I appreciate your guys' time. Thanks for watching. Share it. Do the super thanks because I think that gives us $1 or $2 or whatever the fuck it is. Do the super thanks. Tell your friends about it. Um, or don't. I guess I don't give a fuck. I mean, I do. I'm gonna tell you I don't give a fuck to sound cool, but then when I leave, I'll cry if you don't.